Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to New Right Network Tonight, original series SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith and
Carrie Smith.
Back in the house. Giving you all the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news and giving you the real news. Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Jump over to newrightnetwork.com. Check out all the articles they've written on real news. That's where you'll get it. And then jump over to smyth.tv and check out all the great stuff we've got over there. And while you're there, you can also keep an eye on Donald Trump's Twitter feed live right there in the middle of our website. So you can check that out as well. And today we're talking about Thursday thoughts. Speaker Pelosi can't win, so hashtag Trump must resign. That's the title of the show, right?
What is she trying to win, though? You'll have to explain that one.
They want to win total power control over everything that had the government and the money, and they want it the way it used to be, where they're all getting rich.
She wants a trophy for being a loser, is what it is. Everybody gets a trophy. So they lost the election, and
right,
they want to get their trophy now.
So we're talking about presidential harassment with the likes that we haven't seen, and we'll explain to you why they're ratcheting up. And it's going to get worse before it gets better, folks. So just hang in there; it'll be all right. We'll revisit some flashbacks of something called a wrap-up smear. In case you don't know what that is, that's a term that Nancy Pelosi uses.
Yeah, you're gonna have to hook me up on that one.
And then Donald Trump today called out Rex Tillerson as a dumb as a rock. Oh, man.
That's his signature move, right?
That's his signature move. So if you're a little tense and a little uptight when Donald Trump tweets out things, don't go to the Twitter. Just don't go there. But I tell you what, it's all fun and games. Donald Trump has to strike back as hard, if not harder, than the people striking at him. So.
Well, I got to say, I was listening to a radio show the other day, and a caller called in, and he said, they need to take away his cell phone. They need to get him off of the Twitter. And I don't want to name names because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but the response to that was very inadequate. The thing is, that's how he speaks to us. And while I hope he gets off of Twitter, I also hope that he gets on another platform that he's able to speak to all of us on, right?
Absolutely.
And so these people that are worried about what he's tweeting or that he's tweeting at all need to get over it. Actually, the response was kind of interesting. I think it was Mark Stein, actually. I'll throw him under the bus. I don't care. It was actually a good response. He said that that Donald Trump, what you're worried about is that the soccer moms will get upset. You're not upset about it. The guy said, I will never walk away from Trump. I will vote for him no matter what. But he's obviously worried about the soccer moms. Don't worry. Everybody is excited about Donald Trump as president, and nobody else is walking. If you're not walking away from him from his tweets, stop demanding that somebody in the Oval Office or somebody in the West Wing takes away his Twitter account. That's ridiculous.
Right. Well, not only that, but also we're able to connect with him live in real time.
Yes.
And I don't think he retweeted this one out, but there are tweets, and a friend of ours that Donald Trump will use those tweets to acknowledge us, the crew, the digital warriors, acknowledging us that he knows and he can see and he's watching as the memes fly, which absolutely
They're getting better.
Yes.
They're getting better.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're getting better and they're getting more frequent. So check this one out real quick. And this our good friend at Echo the Call. There are some very creative people on Twitter. That's for sure.
Sorry, Mr. President. I don't do cover-ups, all right? He don't. And I no longer make deals with Democrats. He ain't lying. Are you serious? You're damn right I'm serious. Well, what are we supposed to do about infrastructure and broadband? Yeah, what are we going to do about infrastructure and broadband? Oh, now you care about America, huh, Nancy? What are you talking about? I've always cared about America. Nancy, there's two things that you love. One is lining your purse with money. The other is alcohol. You don't love America. She don't. Yes, I do. I love America. You can lie to America, Nancy, but you can't lie to yourself. Let me explain something to both of you morons, all right? This gonna get good. You guys stole 2 years of my presidency with your fake allegations and your bullshit investigations, all right? Now it's my turn, and I'm gonna come after all the Democrats. And I'm gonna tell you this, you can mark my words, you're all going down. It's true. You guys are done. Are you threatening me? That's not a threat, sweetheart. That's a fact. So, no deal then, or? Let me explain it to you like this, all right? I don't do deals with Democrats. Capiche? That's it. Now get the hell out of my office.
Awesome. They are getting better. I don't know. Is that considered a meme? Because I've always thought the definition of meme was just like a picture with some creative text on it. That's, a picture's worth 1,000 words, but this is actually a video. Very well done and awesome.
Without a doubt. And so we've got a couple other ones that we'll show you throughout the show. But we're getting into what happened yesterday. I know Wayne Dupree, his show goes late. His show is on at 8 p.m. Ours is at 7. And it is pre-recorded, so just let you know. But I missed it. I missed the whole cover up. We missed the whole the blow up and everything that happened yesterday. But Wayne Dupree talked about it last night. Really, really good. But now we've got video of what had happened, what had transpired, kind of pieced it all together. And this will help set it off. Donald Trump held a Rose Garden meeting, and he was kind of beside himself of what was going on because apparently Nancy decided to preempt their meeting with a cover-up meeting and calling Trump covering up, the big cover-up.
Well, yeah, and everybody's asking, what is he covering up? And that's a good question.
So I came here to do a meeting on infrastructure with Democrats, not really thinking they wanted to do infrastructure or anything else other than investigate. And I just saw that Nancy Pelosi, just before our meeting, made a statement that we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up. Well, it turns out I'm the most, and I think most of you would agree to this, I'm the most transparent president probably in the history of this country. We have given on a witch hunt, on a hoax. The whole thing with Russia was a hoax as it relates to the Trump administration and myself. It was a total horrible thing that happened to our country. It hurt us in so many ways. Despite that, we're setting records with the economy, with jobs, with the most people employed today that we've ever had in the history of our country. We have the best unemployment numbers that we've had in the history of our country. In some cases, 51 years, but generally in the history of our country. Companies are moving back in. Things are going well. And I said, let's have the meeting on infrastructure. We'll get that done easily. That's one of the easy ones. And instead of walking in happily into a meeting, I walk in to look at people that had just said that I was doing a cover-up. I don't do cover-ups. You people know that probably better than anybody. And I was just looking at a list of some of the things that we just did. More than 2,500 subpoenas qualified for. And I let everybody talk. I let the White House counsel speak for 30 hours. 30 hours.
How do you not go into that meeting and walk right out?
Oh,
how do you not say completely lose your SHI and say, I'm done?
My first initial reaction was, ooh, this is risky. Not that I thought that he was out of line. I think he should do something like that. But it's risky because it made it look, to me at least, that it could be construed as him being personally upset of what they're doing to him personally. And now things that help America can't get done because of that. And I thought that that's how it'd be construed. Thankfully, the media is too stupid to spin it that way. And so they messed that up and instead tried to paint him as crazy. Nancy Pelosi just
throwing a
yesterday
temper tantrum.
said throwing a temper tantrum, and then added that his family should come in and do an intervention and maybe commit him to some sort of a mental hospital or something like that. And if not his family, maybe the cabinet. They're trying to pull this 25th Amendment thing. All of this is just so horribly played because the country, all the citizens, all the voters are looking at this situation and seeing that the rational person here is Donald Trump.
Right.
Because you don't go into a meeting where you're going to work out a deal to do something together minutes before bashing him.
Right,
it's not going to work.
Right. Well, she called a meeting early in the morning, the day prior of.
Was it the day prior? It seemed like minutes prior.
Well, but she called this meeting for her Democrat partners to get together. And right after that, she took to the podium and said, yeah, President, big cover up.
Oh, that is
big cover up.
It's unhinged for her to think that she could say something like that and then go ahead and have a productive meeting with the guy.
She sabotaged the meeting.
Yes.
She literally sabotaged it.
And here's the thing. They sabotage a lot of things.
Yes.
This is definitely an unforced error on her part. I guarantee you that she didn't go in there sabotaging, if anything, or meaning to sabotage it. That's what I meant. If anything, I felt like this meeting set up for infrastructure was set up by Trump in order to be a setup for the Democrats, because this investigation was going on regardless.
And that's the other thing too. Donald Trump said, you got to get over this thing.
Right.
I'm not dealing with you until you get over this thing.
Yeah. So even if she didn't say that this was a cover up on his part, he could have brought them in to say, oh, you want to do infrastructure? Let's do a deal. We'll do everything you want with infrastructure, but you got to just move on and accept the fact that I am a legitimate president,
right,
that I didn't collude, that I didn't do anything illegal and didn't do any kind of a cover up or anything like that. And instead, she offers him a gift by going into the meeting by saying, he's engaged in a cover up. And you know what this is? You know what the cover up is? It's, okay, we didn't get him on collusion. We didn't get him on obstruction. We didn't find any. Let's trick the public into believing that even though Mueller, or the reason Mueller did not find anything, was not because the evidence doesn't exist.
Oh, no, it's there. Listen, Adam Schiff said it's there.
No, it's been there.
Yeah.
But the reason Mueller didn't find it is because Donald Trump is such a brilliant cover-up artist that he was able to go in and sweep up all, wipe off all the fingerprints, and oh my gosh, he's so good at this because we know that Clinton was able to do it.
He wiped the hard drives with a
the
cloth.
hard drive was with the cloth, bash the hard drives with hammers.
Yeah, true.
So if she's able to do this, and Comey was unable to find the evidence of her wrongdoing, which by the way he did,
bleach bit.
Well, he found the evidence of her wrongdoing. She just decided. But Mueller fell down the same victim hole because Trump is just as good as Clinton and covered this up. So that's what she's trying to do, not realizing that she sabotaged her own meeting.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. And he's coming out the winner on this.
And this is Nancy Pelosi with her cover up. This is from the Washington Times. All right, this is from Jim Hoff, posted this on YouTube on his channel. You want to visit his channel? It's Jim Hoff from Gateway Pundit.
That didn't work for him either. And now this time, another temper tantrum. Again, I pray for the President of the United States. I wish that his family or his administration or his staff would have an intervention for the good of the country. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Speaker, would you be prepared to change your rhetoric, given the political landscape, your understanding of the President's temperament? Your prayer comments almost suggest you're concerned about his well-being.
I am. And the well-being of the United States of America.
Would you be prepared to do something differently for the pragmatism of getting more done, to not use phrases like cover up or to not perhaps provoke him? Would you be open to that?
Well, you have bought into his excuse.
Oh man. So what?
Hold on. Okay.
Wow. So I don't know who that woman was, but I almost feel like, what is this, like Fox News, or she was definitely challenging Pelosi and actually trying to blame Pelosi for the way Donald Trump is handling the situation. So regardless of who that is, you could see who's winning the narrative here.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
But you could hear her trying to pull the 25th Amendment card again, like, he's crazy. And meanwhile, she looks like she just broke out of the insane asylum.
Yeah.
So they're losing the battle of the narrative so hard.
And I'm wondering, I'm curious, because we know Rashida Tlaib and AOC and some of the new incoming ones, whenever there's a question to be asked or there's something to be said, they'll look down at their note cards and they'll read it off.
Yeah.
Who's pulling the strings behind Pelosi?
Well, I don't want to take credit for this. I think it might have been Mark Levin who pointed out that you could tell by the way she's handling herself in this interview that the whole idea that this meeting would have been called off by Donald Trump, or that Donald Trump would cut it short and walk out, she was not anticipating this and was not prepared to take any questions on this outcome. And that's why she sounded kind of incoherent and crazy. And that was by design. So there was no, she was misled into believing that there was going to be infrastructure. Which is that's a great tactic as far as I'm concerned.
Technically, as far as Trump knew as of a couple of days ago, that they were going to have an infrastructure meeting.
So you're not buying into the possibility, and this is exclusive SmythTV right here, the possibility that he set up this meeting in order to negotiate for them to just accept that he's innocent.
Okay,
he's been exonerated.
I'm going to give you this one.
Okay.
I think that he said, okay, they keep talking infrastructure. I'll tell you what we're going to do. And we'll see what happens. See if they can be big people, come into the room with the big boy pants on and work this out. But they're not going to do that. They're going to pull a card.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what, let's set this up and I'll be prepared to pull out if they mess up.
Okay, so he was obviously keeping open. That's the art of the deal.
Right. Well,
you want to have a positive outcome for yourself, which is what he was walking in, what Brian is saying.
It's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
One, he wins if they come to the table for the deal.
Yeah.
For infrastructure.
Oh, he wants to do infrastructure.
Right. And two, he wins again if he's got to pull out.
I'm shocked. This is how flat-footed the media, the left-wing mainstream media, was on this. I cannot believe they did not come out and spin this as Donald Trump doesn't keep his promise. I'm really shocked. This just goes to
promise is made, promise is not kept.
Yeah, because he talked about infrastructure during the campaign. We all talked about it because we said, look, this guy's a successful guy in construction.
Right. Right.
If anybody on Earth, he's a builder. Yeah. If anybody on Earth is going to be able to do the best job possible with infrastructure, it's going to be Donald Trump. Let's elect him president. And they didn't spin it this way because they were so shocked and caught flat-footed. They're like, what? And so they just didn't even spin it the right way. And I have to applaud Donald Trump for actually using the art of the surprise attack.
Yeah.
To actually mitigate any kind of a spin on this. Right. And that's really what happened.
And something else in sales, something that you have in your favor, especially if someone doesn't know they're getting ready to be sold, is that fact that the surprise, the element of surprise is so powerful.
Yeah.
You saw Pelosi.
She was like,
And it reminds me when he brought her and Chuck into the room with the news cameras. And she's like, what are the cameras doing here?
They thought they were going to be in there alone. Thank you, Brian, for jogging my memory on that one. I remember the meeting well, but I forgot about that surprise. That's really good.
The element of surprise is so powerful, folks. And when I say it's so powerful, if you don't know, if you're not looking to buy something or you're not looking for something and it shows up and it catches you off guard, wow, you're done.
And she's done.
So we got MSNBC screaming,
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
Oh,
we got the
gosh.
talking heads going all out. So check this clip out real quick. This on Breitbart, they posted up this clip of MSNBC's Wallace.
Hi, everyone. It's 4 o'clock in Washington, D.C., where today Nancy Pelosi accused the President of the United States of engaging in a cover-up. It's a charge that put into motion a day of fireworks and public feuding between the President and the Speaker of the House that make clear this White House and Congress are heading for a showdown.
We believe that no one is above the law, including the President of the United States, and we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up.
That new accusation from Pelosi came amid mounting pressure on her from within her ranks to commence impeachment proceedings. The charge of a presidential cover-up landed right underneath Donald Trump's skin, and he responded by whipping up a poster about the Mueller investigation, storming out of a bipartisan infrastructure meeting, and calling reporters to the Rose Garden to tee off on Democrats, reporters, and the Mueller probe.
Yeah, come on, man. So it's the tantrum. They're running with it's going to be cover up all day.
Yeah, cover
and
up.
Tantrum all day.
And also, did you hear that key line? I would not be surprised. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but not lately, not on this particular topic. But I wouldn't be surprised if you hear this same phrase all day. No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. That is a bald-faced lie, and let me explain how and
Which
why.
projection
I mean, you
also,
all know it's a lie.
Right. Well, it's also projection because she knows she's above the law.
Yes, that's true too. But what makes it such an egregious lie is that there is no answer to this question. What law was broken that Donald Trump would be considered above? What are we talking about here that he's above? They would never dare field that question. They can't answer it. And that's what makes that phrase such a lie. And every time you hear it, you're going to see it on Twitter. You're going to see it posted in video form on Facebook, everywhere. I need you guys to put in the comments section, wait, no one's above the law. Well, what law are we talking about? That's the question you need to be asking.
And who is above the law? Or is there anybody above the law? We can answer that very easily. Barack Obama, James Comey,
well,
Andrew McCabe,
so far,
Hillary Clinton.
They may not ultimately, in the long run, be above the law, and I'm crossing my fingers, and I do believe. Do you believe that they're going to be held accountable for?
I do believe people will go to prison. Yeah. I absolutely do believe.
Good.
Quick question: I put a poll up on Twitter, and I'm curious of what your answer would be, and I'm going to add one more to it. Out of the four, Comey, Clapper, Brennan, and Lynch, who gets prosecuted first?
I think because of the growing pile of evidence against him, thanks to his inability to remain silent, because things can be used against him in the court of law, it'd be I think Comey.
I think
because
Comey.
Of just the pile that he's building of evidence against him. They're going to be playing that stuff. They're going to be asking him under oath whether or not these things that he answered on this talk show circuit are true.
And the things that he already testified about. And we've got the...
Folks, now Loretta Lynch is going
the other way. And thanks to our great representative, Doug Collins, for releasing the transcript of Loretta Lynch's deposition, interview, under oath. Redacted, mind you, but there are some things that are just... James Comey, the videotape of him under oath saying, she told me it's a matter. And so I changed it. Her testimony says the opposite.
Yeah, she claimed that she did not ever say that. And she was surprised that he said it when she was watching it live. That's not going to go over well. Somebody's lying. As far as I could tell, Loretta Lynch has no reason to have lied about what Comey allegedly is lying about.
Right.
So, and plus, we know for a fact that James Comey is a pathological liar on the verge of sociopathy. And
yes.
I do believe that if anybody's lying in that situation, that it would be Comey, unless both of them are lying, which I don't know if it's possible in that particular case, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Loretta Lynch seems to be more protected and more distanced from the entire Spygate. The only thing that she's got connected to is the tarmac incident, which should be prosecuted, but I don't see that going down. I don't see the prosecution of that.
Did she break a law there?
the improprieties of meeting with the woman that's under investigation, meeting with her husband in a private setting on the tarmac, and then going to James Comey. And then all of a sudden, the day later, Comey's like,
exonerating Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, there's no there.
Yeah. For those of you living under a rock, that was Bill Clinton meeting with Loretta Lynch in a very highly secretive meeting just before her decision to tell Comey not to prosecute her.
Correct.
Wow. That's called corruption, people.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. And this, at the Gateway Pundit, wrote a quick article like Jim does, great, but also put in the video tweet from The Hill.
But this is why I think the president was so steamed off this morning, because the fact is, in plain sight, in the public domain, this president is obstructing justice, and he's engaged in a cover-up. And that could be an impeachable offense. Ignoring the
who's clapping?
Ignoring the subpoenas of Congress was Article 3 of the Nixon impeachment. Article 3. He did not honor the subpoenas of Congress. So it's not just the substance that we're after and we want to have to give the truth to the American people. But in striving to get that, the intervention that the obstruction that the administration is engaged in is, as they say, the cover-up is frequently worse than the crime.
Yeah, in the Nixon case, duh. But let's talk about the difference between the Nixon case and what they're attempting to frame Trump for, is that demonstrable crimes occurred by the Nixon administration, and he demonstrably tried to cover up those crimes. And he wasn't impeached, but it was imminent, and he resigned. But the difference is that there is no evidence of any crime. There were no crimes committed by, or at least no evidence of any crimes committed by anybody in the Trump administration. Now, some of you leftists out there are saying, oh, people went to jail. No, these are crimes that were created by the investigation.
And not only that, but we also now know George Papadopoulos, good friend of the show, he was completely set up. He was totally set up by
That's called entrapment.
Yeah, the Australian diplomat set him up. He knew it. He said in interviews, he said, I felt that it was so strange and so odd. I felt like something was wrong. And at some point in time, he's like, I felt like they were spying on me, and I was looking over my shoulder. So much so, and you got to look at the actions of George. George went to Cyprus and was handed a duffel bag of $10,000 and said, this is prepayment for your lobbying for us on behalf of us. They would have got him on multiple things. one, money laundering, two, not registering as a foreign lobbyer, and then bringing the money back into the country.
Yeah.
They were going to lock George up so long and so tight. And George said, you know what? I best leave this with a friend.
So he left it with a friend.
And when he landed in Dulles, lo and behold, Mueller was waiting for him.
They were sure that he had the money.
Sure that he had it. He didn't get through customs. They got him right off the plane. Didn't even get through customs.
They descended on him hard, didn't they? Because the money was given to him by the FBI.
Right. And they rooted through his bags. They kept him, detained him overnight, rooted through his bags.
What did you do with the money?
Right. And then all of a sudden, come to find out, lo and behold, days later, warrant was filed. Days later, documents were filed for him to arrest him. It didn't happen. It wasn't. They were looking for the money to make it happen.
Did you hear what happened to his wife, Simona? I just found. I don't know why I didn't hear about this. This was so angering. This is going to anger you guys if you haven't heard this already. It's going to anger Brian.
I'm getting mad thinking about it.
So they interrogated her. That's people knew about that, and they put her in, the typical interrogation room with the light on her face and everything. And they put the full pressure of you've seen the movies, you've seen the shows where they got the good cop, bad cop. We're going to send you and your husband to prison forever. They were trying to turn her against him by saying he's cheating on you. He was doing this stuff with this honeypot who by the way, he didn't do. Right. They were lying to her. They were giving her all the information to put her under the maximum stress possible. She then, after days of this, had to be rushed off to the hospital. Turns out she was pregnant and had a miscarriage due to the treatment by the FBI. As far as I'm concerned, with my pro-life position, the FBI just murdered a child.
A baby.
They just murdered a child in order to frame Trump and to frame George Papadopoulos and get his wife against him. I'm just outraged. I was so outraged to hear that story.
Prison time wouldn't be good enough.
No, they murdered a child. Now, maybe whatever, we get into
involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, they may not have known that she was pregnant, but this is why you don't treat your suspect spouses this way.
Well, they weren't married at the time, but however, you don't treat anybody this way. Even in Abu Ghraib. Well, they didn't treat the so-called with the terrorists, the people who were locked up, and stacked them on like pyramids and played around with them and goofed. Waterboarding isn't this bad. Nobody dies when you waterboard.
No, waterboarding. Now maybe if they waterboarded her, they could induce a miscarriage, any kind of stress. If you have children, I have children, you learn about these things, that when a pregnant woman at any stage of pregnancy is put a ton of stress upon her, could increase the odds of a miscarriage. And so the point is what they did to her has got to be at least equivalent, if not worse, than waterboarding.
Yes. And I want to apologize on behalf of all of America to Simone, who is an Italian citizen, national from Italy.
This is not America.
This is not America. She comes to America, and this is what happens?
Yeah, anybody who's wondering about America, a foreigner or whatever, who hears about this stuff happening, this is not America. And those people that did that.
My blood is boiling.
Yeah. Those people that did that to her and George need to see some justice somehow. I've been an advocate for abolishing the FBI altogether. Because
at this point in time, yes.
Yeah, I mean, they do nothing but violate our rights as understood by our founders who wrote them. They would be appalled at what the FBI does and has become. And they'll sit there and tell you that you all would be dead if it were not for our protection. It's a bunch of BS. Don't believe it. Don't buy into their fear-mongering. They only exist because they needed to come up with a solution for people who were violating prohibition. Back in the teens and in the 20s, people were violating prohibition by crossing state lines, and the state law enforcement couldn't do anything about it.
If you go from Kentucky and you got the moonshine and you're going to deliver it to Ohio, which is frequent, it's common.
You cross the lines and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. So they came up with a federal agency to deal with it. When prohibition ended,
that should have ended.
But then they said, well, we need to come up with a way to justify our existence. And that's when they said that this plant that grows everywhere because it's invasive, it's a weed, and it's called marijuana, and colored people, minorities are the majority people smoking it and using it. Native Americans, whoever.
If you think that's a conspiracy theory, then you need to watch the movie documentary propaganda put together by our government called Reefer Madness.
Total propaganda. So they ended up tricking America into believing, using racism, xenophobia, because there were some apparently Asian immigrants were using it. Fear of Native Americans. They were saying, well, Native Americans, they're the ones that started this stuff, smoking marijuana. They ended up justifying the FBI's existence by banning marijuana in 1935. Don't think it's a coincidence that was shortly after the end of Prohibition, which ended in 1933.
And if you look at Reefer Madness, the government is telling people that marijuana will make you rape women.
Yes, they were doing that.
It'll send you into a murdering frenzy.
That people will murder left and right, just out of the blue.
And
it makes you go crazy. There was one scene where the guy woman jumps out of the window. Yeah, because they were high. They were so high that they just jumped out of the window.
Like, hey, let's do this and jump out the window, man.
And meanwhile, here we are all these years later, and they are causing innocent pregnant women to have miscarriages due to their maltreatment. So, and they're also violating the Fourth Amendment. They've violated the Fifth Amendment. Look at these armed raids of innocent people. They armed raid Roger Stone, Manafort, and it's like, why are you thinking that this needs to be a pre-dawn armed raid? It's like they're bored and have nothing else to do, and they're sitting in the office and they're like, "Man, wouldn't it be fun to get our guns out and load them up and do something fun?" And that's what they're doing.
Well, and what they did to Roger Stone is unforgivable.
Yeah.
First off, Roger Stone was already cooperating with the FBI.
Yeah.
The lawyers, he was showing up to court. He had surrendered his passport. Everything was in cooperation without any issues, no problems. He's got no history of issues of this, of defying the law. And yet you bust his door down, dawn morning raid. Wife in pajamas. He's in his pajamas. They send a boat with guns to the back door because apparently he lives on the ocean or in Florida.
Yeah, and then his wife, apparently maybe deaf or so, whatever it was.
Oh, that's right. She's deaf. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever her condition was. I'm assuming, if I remember correctly, deaf. Could cause an issue that would mislead the FBI into thinking that the way to deal with her is to shoot her. And he was very worried about that. And so he had to scream to them the condition of his wife so that they don't shoot her. And that's, if he didn't say that or something like that, he could have a murdered wife.
And the accusation towards Roger Stone is that he was working directly with WikiLeaks to get information from Russia about all the dirty dealings that Hillary Clinton was involved with. I don't even think that's a crime. I don't even know if that's a crime. I don't even think that that's a crime.
Don't think it's a crime, but also that they don't even deny that the crimes that WikiLeaks would have evidence of is even in question. And they're not doing any pre-dawn raids on anybody in the Clinton administration.
No, not to their lawyers. And speaking about their lawyers, the two lawyers that were mentioned yesterday, actually, they didn't give over their laptops to Comey that were supposed to, that were Clinton's lawyers.
Right.
Actually sat in on Clinton's deposition that she wasn't even under oth.
Unbelievable.
And those lawyers finally gave up the laptop Comey wanted after months of negotiation. They negotiated an exonerate. They were exonerated. They were what is that?
Cleared.
They were cleared if they hand over the laptop. They handed over bleach bit.
Wow. And that's what they did. And how is that not obstruction of justice by their definition? I could sit here and have a debate over whether or not that's obstruction of justice. I know that Nixon was forced to resign under threat of impeachment for erasing 18 seconds of tape or something like that. And the 18 minutes or 18 seconds, whatever it was.
It's a very small amount.
Yeah, that was the thing that they were going to bust them for obstruction of justice. Meanwhile, you have hammers on cell phones. You have bleach bit, wipe it with a cloth type stuff going on with the Clintons, and they're free and clear.
Not only did that happen, but that happened after the subpoena for that stuff.
Wow.
It was after.
That is clear.
It was requested.
Clear obstruction of justice. So that's what we're dealing with, folks, and that's what we're dealing with the FBI. Don't buy into the fear-mongering. That's what they're going to do. They're going to make you believe that we're all just going to die, that violence is going to break out in the streets, and people are just going to randomly shoot everybody in what would amount to be a purge like the movie. If not for the FBI, under the protection of the FBI, we can live in peace and harmony. No, that's crap. That's crap, and everything that's happened since they've become a thing has been bad. From J. Edgar Hoover to the rise of the mafia due to prohibition, that's turned into a war zone. It's turned our country, our domestic land, into a war zone during prohibition, and things have never stopped.
Right.
So,
and just to refresh your memory, this is 2 minutes long. But you have to hear it once again. And this is why we're so upset of the injustice that we believe. I know that John Solomon at thehill.com, John Solomon is saying, and his sources are saying, within days, Trump is going to release unredacted documents within days.
We have our fingers crossed.
Yes, and this is why. At Jamie RODR 14, boom. This is all you will ever need to see to understand what needs to be addressed by Attorney General Barr.
My time's expired, but I have one last question, and I think it's important. At this point, based on everything, do you think that any laws were broken by Hillary Clinton or her lawyers?
Do I think that any laws were broken? I don't think there's evidence to establish that.
Okay. Well, I think you're making my point when you say there's no evidence to establish that. Maybe not in the way she handled classified information, but with respect to obstruction of justice. And you've got a pen here. I just want to make sure the record's clear about the evidence that you didn't have, that you can't use to prove. So this comes from the FBI's own report. It says that the FBI didn't have the Clintons' personal Apple server used for Hillary Clinton work emails. That was never located, so the FBI could never examine it. An Apple MacBook laptop and thumb drive that contained Hillary Clinton's email archives was lost, so the FBI never examined that. 2 BlackBerry devices, provided the FBI didn't have SIM cards or SD data cards. 13 Hillary Clinton personal mobile devices were lost, discarded, or destroyed with a hammer, so the FBI clearly didn't examine those. Various server backups were deleted over time, so the FBI didn't examine that. After the State Department and my colleague Mr. Gowdy here notified Ms. Clinton that her records would be sought by the Benghazi Committee, copies of her emails on the laptops of both of her lawyers, Cheryl Mills and Harold Mills, and Heather Samuelson, were wiped clean with bleach bits. So
those are the 2 lawyers that also got immunity from Comey, and those are the 2 lawyers that also assisted and showed up with Clinton during her deposition, which is beyond the normal. So that is not normal, because they were also the 2 lawyers that were questioned themselves under oath.
The FBI didn't review that. After those emails were subpoenaed, Hillary Clinton's email archive was also permanently deleted from the Platte River network with bleach bit, so the FBI didn't review that. And also after the subpoena, backups of the Platte River server were manually deleted. Now, Director, hopefully that list is substantially accurate because it comes from your own documents. My question to you is this: any one of those in that very, very long list, to me, says obstruction of justice. Collectively, they scream obstruction of justice, and to ignore them, I think, really allows not just reasonable prosecutors, but reasonable people to believe that maybe the decision on this was made a long time ago.
This by Representative Radcliffe. He brought up Platte River. Platte River was the company that was her server, or maintaining, going through her documents and things like that. They were called to testify, the 4 of them, I believe, and they sat there to testify, and all 4 of them repeated Fifth Amendment and refused by counsel. My counsel has advised me, Fifth Amendment, plead the fifth, and it just went on and on. That's all they did.
But yeah, so Secretary of State, who at the time was Hillary Clinton, is really the one where unofficially the buck stops with her. And there you go.
She traveled the world. You saw her with the Saudis. You saw her with the Chinese and the Japanese. I mean, you saw her gallivanting around the world.
Yeah.
What about the famous words, we saw, we came, he died.
Yeah, so awkward.
Killing Muammar Gaddafi and causing a civil war was her fault.
Yeah, and at the time there were a lot of people, even on the right, that were like, yeah, because he sponsored terrorism. I think he paid off terrorists that killed, was it the Lockerbie bombing or something like that?
Pan Am.
There was many people killed in a terrorist attack on a plane.
However, I will have to say, George Bush scared the crap out of him, and he did give up his nukes and stuff. He kind of gave up some stuff
because of what happened to Saddam Hussein.
Right.
So, but he, as a puppet dictator, it actually, hindsight's 20/20
or 50/50.
50/50. Turns out that we needed these crazy people to keep the people in line in those areas. But the point is that it was a bad thing for the world for her to do that. And we've made the argument too about Benghazi. A little conspiratorial, but it would seem as though it was used by Hillary Clinton as a way to launder the fact that she blatantly wanted to murder those people. So if you want to murder somebody, the way you launder a murder, the way you launder money, is to try to make it happen without it making look like murder. And so you send them to the place and then just make sure that things happen and you make sure that they don't get rescued.
Christopher Stevens being raped and teeth were pulled out.
Oh,
He was abused by these the Muslim. You want to call them Muslim terrorists, but if you're practicing Islam, if you're a full believer and practicing Islam, that's part and parcel of what you're supposed to do. But this is what happened to Christopher Stevens because he was deeply involved in and he knew about the gun running schemes to the terrorist over in the Middle
They
East.
had to let him die because he knew too much.
Yep.
And also it was an attack on America. A lot of people don't remember that consulates, embassies and whatnot, that wherever they are in the world, whatever country that is that part, that's land on that country. So like an American embassy in Libya, that is a piece of American land. When it got attacked and ransacked and run over, that was an attack on America. And to this day, it pretty much went unanswered. So that's just an embarrassment. But anyway.
Right. So back to Nancy Pelosi. This is a little bit of history of Nancy Pelosi. This is who she is. She is getting a little bit more senile and she's talking for attention of sorts from our good friend at Trump_girl_USA. So Pelosi, who does deliberately explain a wrap-up smear?
The wrap-up smear, if you want to talk politics, call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
I feel like that's an old clip. She didn't just say that, right? I feel like I've seen that years ago.
It's an old clip.
Okay,
I mean, so short. Do you want to hear it again?
If you want to, I mean, we could talk through it too if you play it.
Yep.
I'm amazed that she's given away her trade secrets.
Yeah, this is patented trade secrets
of hers.
And we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody.
Okay, so they smear Donald Trump.
And she points out with lies.
Right.
With falsehoods and all the rest.
That's what they do.
To lie.
And it's getting so bad now. It's not. I would say it's funny and it's so easy to point out, but it is working.
Mm-hmm.
I see it on Facebook. It's working.
And then you merchandise it. And then
meaning you sell it.
You write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear.
Now, when she said this back in the day, this was about
when she said
there wasn't such close collusion between the Democrat elected officials and the mainstream media journalists. It was kind of like, we hope that you report on this. Now they're so closely intertwined, they're pretty much indistinguishable. And even Rush Limbaugh points out that it's actually the mainstream media that's running the Democrat Party, not the other way around. And so, of course, they're going to report on it. It's become a foregone conclusion that they're going to not only report it, but report it exactly the way they need it to be reported for the wrap-up smear.
Right, and we know from WikiLeaks and emails and John Podesta emails, we know it. Questions were asked. What do you want us to ask you in the debate? Are these okay? Yeah. Oh, this is off limits.
Gotten so bad.
Working back and forth together. Donna Brazier then getting the questions to Hillary Clinton, then working as the head of the DNC, and now over at Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about here?
It's incestuous.
So we got more Democrats going crazy. This Lou guy, this Ted Lieu.
I think he might have me blocked. I should look that up.
Okay. This at Alley167 at Representative Ted Lieu. Robert Mueller's report is online for all to see. Try reading it at POTUS campaign. Nor any American colluded with Russia. $40 million taxpayer money wasted. Now Obama administration, DNC, HRC, and MSNBC propaganda pushers. They're drug dealers. They're pushers of fake news. Drug dealers, literally. And this Ted Lieu, the most transparent POTUS probably in the history of this country, Since you don't do hashtag cover-ups, please let us know what time we can stop by and review the unredacted Mueller report, simply requesting the same access you gave to Congressman Doug Collins from Ted Lieu. You had the opportunity that Doug Collins did. Trump and the administration left it wide open for you guys to come in and see the least redacted. You didn't, because that's not what you want.
Exactly. That was perfectly stated.
Has he got you blocked?
No. He also has Ted Lieu at Ted Lieu.
Okay.
That one's at Rep Ted Lieu. I would think it would be illegal for him to block me as the representative. However, personal account, I don't see why not. But neither are blocked. I'm kind of surprised. But yeah, I mean, I've given him the business a lot. Not lately. But the reason I thought he might have blocked me is because I haven't heard from him in a while. Now, I'm not following him. I probably should, just so I could dunk on him every chance I get.
Yeah.
But so that's that.
And Donald Trump tweeted out, in a letter to her colleagues, Nancy Pelosi said President Trump had a temper tantrum for all of us to see. This is not true. I was purposely very polite and calm, much as I was minutes later with the press in the Rose Garden can be easily proven. It is all such a lie. Now, remember, Donald Trump said that I am going, every time we meet with them behind closed doors, we will have proof of what happened, because every time they came back out with the press, Chucky lied and Pelosi lied. They all lied about what happened in the meeting.
Well, I'm disappointed because I had this vision of Donald Trump getting in their face and putting his finger in his face and cussing them out and saying, you all can, and I was excited to imagine that in my head. And I'm so disappointed to hear that it didn't go down that way.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of people that are saying, I know Kellyanne Conway got in it with her, and some people were speculating that maybe she should give her the old backhand.
Well, celebrity death match. If you remember that.
Sure.
Oh, that was claymation.
Claymation. Right.
Yeah. But they have the celebrity boxing matches they could get into.
That would be good times. Yeah.
Now they're going to be saying SmythTV advocating for violence.
Oh, no, we're not.
All right. Control Alt Delete.
And this, our good friend Gene at WATSPN 1013. Is this investigating or persecuting in search of a crime?
Yes.
New York Dems passed bill letting Congress to get Trump's state tax returns. Federal BHO judge ruled House can subpoena Trump's personal and business financial records, follows similar rules from a D.C. court.
Okay.
This by Breitbart News, by the way.
I wrote about this extensively in a Facebook post, made a whole article about it, and shared a lot of times and liked and all that kind of stuff. Guys, you don't lose your Fourth Amendment rights of keeping the government from searching and seizing your personal property and effects when you become president. You don't lose that. Right. No amount of oversight trumps the Bill of Rights for anybody. Nobody's above the law, but nobody is beneath the law either. And so for anybody in government you can ask him for his tax returns, but if he says no, you need a warrant from a judge who should, if he's acting constitutionally, only sign a warrant for his tax returns if there's probable cause of a crime. They have admitted that the reason they want to see his tax returns is because they want to see if a crime occurred. That is a total violation of the Fourth Amendment. So make sure that you guys always have that in mind whenever you're seeing this, especially when you listen to their language, when they say, well, as part of our oversight, we should be able to go through all of his personal effects.
We're allowed oversight.
Yeah, but actually it does not. The oversight does not trump the Bill of Rights, period. And I need you guys to remember that.
This at Bert, call those state reps. We want to see everyone's tax returns holding any seat. Make it a requirement. Nancy, Maxie, Swallow, Shifty, Shuckmer.
So it may sound hypocritical for me to say, yeah, let's see their tax returns. But hey, tit for tat, right? If they're going to be violating Fourth Amendment, let's violate everybody's Fourth Amendment.
Well, we're tongue in cheek with that because we want to see the reaction to Nancy and Maxie and Chuck Hugh when we say, oh, we want to make sure that you haven't committed a crime. That the fact that you're worth over $200 million makes us curious.
We're going to go ahead and search everything. We're going to dig into everything because certainly we'll find a crime, right? This is what the founders were protecting us against.
Right, absolutely. And one last thing on Pelosi, as our good friend at Robbie Starbuck, serious question. Is Nancy drunk?
Oh, man.
Well, the answer's rhetorical.
We give this president an opportunity to have a signature infrastructure initiative to create jobs, to improve the quality of life, to just do so much for our country on the ongoing, not only the jobs it created by building, but the commerce it would promote. And that included roads and bridges and mass transit, broadband into rural America and other underserved areas, clean water, wastewater, all of the things that have enormous needs. The American Society of Civil Engineers says it's in the trillions, the deficit we have. We're talking about a couple $1 billion. For some reason, maybe it was lack of confidence on his part that he really couldn't match the greatness of the challenge that we have. Wasn't really respectful of the Congress and the White House working together. He just took a pass, and it just makes me wonder why he did that. In any event, I pray for the President of the United States, and I pray for the United States of America.
Oh my gosh. She's out of her mind.
Dude, there was a glitch in the Matrix. Did you see that?
I did see. Anytime you see that happen, that means that there's been an upgrade in the Matrix. And you need to watch out for that because Agent Smith has probably entered the building. You got to watch out for
that. Watch out for Agent Smith. Yeah. And folks, the globalists are absolutely deathly afraid of Donald Trump and this is why this is all about. Globalists and the evils of the world are deathly afraid of Donald Trump because of this at Real TT 2024.
Imagine what our country could accomplish if we started working together as one people, under one God, saluting one American flag.
Interesting.
One God, one flag, one country, something that all the globalists do not want. The Muslims do not want. The Muslims who I say are illegally in our
the
serving.
Open Borders crowd absolutely does not want that. They not only do they prefer like people from Mexico, regardless of whether they're citizens or not, to be waving the Mexican flag, but they also want to ban the American flag from their site because they think that it's an assault on their personage.
There was a kid that graduating class in high school every year, the last 26 days of school, the seniors dedicate each day to a letter of the alphabet and have fun with that day. Every single day, the first letter of the alphabet, A, is always America Day. It is now forbidden from that high school because it could offend some of the other students in school.
Well, they should slap them with this because slap them back in the face with what I've heard before. America? Well, that's all of North America and probably all of South America too.
United States
Day
for you.
If you're from Mexico, you're actually American.
Yeah.
Because you are on the continent of America. You live there, you were born there, you grew up there. You're American. So for them to ban America, you just ban it. What do we call it? Europe Day? What are we talking about here?
The America's Day.
Slap them in the face with that.
And folks, you're listening to New Right Network, original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Gary Smith back again.
Yeah, back again. Give you all the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it all, exposing the fake news, the wrap-up smear, giving you the real news,
yes,
and making sense of it all. For Thursday thoughts, folks, enjoy the rest of your evening. Be back here tomorrow for Friday motivation.
See you guys.
See ya.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.